Today, it's Jase from the Mentor Corner, and we've got Catherine, who's going to be answering some questions from a marketing perspective. I'm going to be answering from a coaching perspective and a mentoring perspective. The main theme of discussion today is 3 of the biggest bottlenecks we see in why coaches struggle to grow their business. We're going to dig a bit deeper and cover truly understanding of their niche, the inability for emotional buy-in, and failing to show up when there is distraction. So this is something we want to dig into because, again, on the mentoring platform, we have a few mentees that are struggling to sort of find their audience, to sort of turn up on the days when things ain't going well. So me and Catherine, bundles of experience in the industry, we want to share our opinions.
So whenever it comes to finding your niche, like what would you say to someone who isn't just sure like what their niche is? Like how would you get them to actually discover that?
So I always say with this, like there's always a notion, I need to find my niche, and I essentially say you either need to find it when you know what that is, or you need to create it. And a lot of the times you can create your own niche. And how do you create your niche? You create a niche by the content you put out. You create your niche by basically deciding who you align to, who you want to work with, and how you're going to, market towards that, essentially. So I feel when too many people spend time sort of trying to find their niche, and it's like create your niche, create the lane you want to work with, and then tailor your marketing towards that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and then break that down. When you do eventually say, I want to work with this caliber of people, how are we now going to market to them? What's going to be our professional message? What's going to be our educational message? What's going to be our personal message? And if we're homing into all them pillars of the company, all of a sudden we've got a niche that fits all them 3 pillars of the company, and we can market towards that.
Yeah. I think as well it's important what you said there about you can create your own niche, because a lot of people come into coaching and they think that they need to work with people that are exactly the same as them, whereas that's actually not true whatsoever. I know a lot of like male coaches who are great coaches for females, but again it comes down to the actual message and who you actually enjoy working with. Like if you have a lot of clients who are of a certain demographic, I speak to a lot of people that one of my first questions to people is, okay, so do you actually enjoy working with those people? A lot of the time that's actually no, and we say, right, so who is it? So just because you are on a certain path doesn't mean that you have to coach people of that demographic as well. It comes down to your actual message that you're putting out. But just because you're walking the walk as such, doesn't mean that people are actually going to identify
and
with
I feel like when we talk about message, that's why I really home into anyone I work with of the pillars of their company, because that determines your message. Whether you like bodybuilding, your educational message might be something totally different. Regarding that, it might be something about sustainable dieting, which obviously isn't suitable for yourself. So I do think the sort of message you put out creates your niche, despite your likes, and the professional message and sort of the personal message you put across. Yes, you might be a bodybuilder, but the personal message you might be putting across is that isn't for everyone. So that's why we're so locked in and fixed on understanding your niche, how you can deliver that to your audience, and really breaking it down. Because again, if I know, this is my brand, we're focused on sustainability and lifestyle dieting. This is our personal profession. This is our personal message. This is our professional message. This is our educational message. When I now go to make content, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to hit the personal message with 3 pieces of content. I'm going to hit the educational message. I'm going to hit the professional message, because now we know our route to market when it comes to our niche.
Mm-hmm. And if you could give someone a bit of advice then of like, if someone's really struggling to really like find what their niche is, like what would you do personally to help them find that? Because it doesn't need to be really difficult.
No.
We just need to we just need to find that person and then go all in. So what advice would you give?
My advice will be, who do you enjoy working with? It's some male coaches enjoy working with females. I only work with females. Some females, work with males, and vice versa. So who do you enjoy working with? Who can you resonate with? Who can you connect with? Who do you feel, I know some females that say, I don't get on with female coaches. So who do you warm to? Naturally, as people, some people get on with females, some get on with males, some people's level of empathy is different. So you have to sort of, if you're not adaptable to both genders, if you're not adaptable to different types of people, you have to think, am I going to enjoy coaching this person? to who can I resonate to, who can I get some excitement out of it, because I do feel for long-term sustainability in this industry, you have to coach in the industry and sort of the niche which you enjoy. Because, you know, essentially, like you're saying in life, oh, you know, in life you got to do some jobs you enjoy, but not in coaching, because there's so many people out there. So I feel like if you don't know your niche and you're struggling to find it, you have to sort of get a pen and paper and draw, well, who do I want to work with? Who do I feel like I can add value to best? Coaching is sold on the back of added value. Who can I add value to best? Oh, I've got these amazing resources. I really think I can impact these people. Well, that's going to start to create your niche. You know, if I had a bundle of experience in mental health, well, my niche is now going to be built around something which I think I can add value to people with. And a lot of people see niche like age and gender. It's totally wrong. It's deeper than that as well. So that would be my opinion. What do you like? And in your expertise set, what do you feel you could add value to when it comes to people?
Just one question then. So a lot of coaches that that you speak to or I speak to, they come from like a heavy bodybuilding background, which for the majority of bodybuilders, they actually don't work with other bodybuilders. They work with lifestyle clients. So from your experience, what would you do with that person if they're obviously quite strict with, you know, nutrition and training, and they have an all or nothing mindset, whereas on the flip side their audience isn't the same? So what advice would you give those types of people, because what they do and the type of people that they are potentially coaching is different? So how would you kind of navigate that?
So how would I navigate it? So we're pretty much saying, if I'm an extreme bodybuilder,
yeah,
you're basically telling me that I'm expecting my clients to follow suit with me?
Yeah, so you're an extreme bodybuilder, but you coach clients who aren't the same. No, they're different.
Yeah,
so what would you do?
My journey is my journey, and I can't push that on someone else. I can't push my agenda on someone else. And I say this all the time. It's like when I was a kid growing up, you know, my mum didn't go to uni, but she wanted me to go to uni to live her journey through myself. And, you know, I don't expect my clients to live my journey through their journey. That's essentially their journey. So, you know, I can't push my beliefs onto my client, essentially. And what I say to coaches that are really strict and they want to work with the bodybuilders, great, probably not going to be a long-term sustainable brand unless you're in one of the top 10 coaching names in the industry. Why? When we look at sort of targeting the pool of clients, right? When we look at the elite clients, the pool's probably this big of genetically elite that are going to really take your brand and transcend it through the roof and get you lots of results. But when we are now looking for clients, we have to fish in the bigger pond, because the lifestyle pool is this big. So I always say to coaches, and with someone who has a brand that's majority lifestyle, we fish in the bigger pond, essentially. We might obtain lifestyle clients that then turn into competitors. It's a win-win situation. But when you're just marketing to competitors, you're fishing in a pool of people which are this big, and you're switching off them lifestyle clients. So it's actually harder to build a brand unless you're fully involved in the bodybuilding scene. You're a household name. You're probably an IFBB pro. And
athlete.
You've got a good crop of people behind you. But I'm seeing guys at 19, 20, Jase, I only want to coach bodybuilders. I say it's probably the worst thing you can do. Fish in the lifestyle pool. Get as many lifestyle clients as you can. That will be your recurring payment. That will be your recurring revenue each month. That will be a buffer. And then for enjoyment, fish into the competitive pond.
And you, for those high level people, you need to be in this game for a really long time. And the majority of people, they're not. They're not.
And I think like a lot of the time, a lot of these coaches, which I've worked with, some of them, they expect everyone to live the journey they're currently in, and it's not the same what I do today. I don't expect my clients to reflect that. Obviously there's going to be some morals and ethoses I would like to see passed down to them, but at the end of the day I think, you know, your clients are not you. Your clients are not going to have the same level of motivation and dedication as you, and we have to respect their values, essentially.
So whenever it comes then to your second point, then the inability to build emotional buy-in, why do you think that is a bottleneck with coaches?
I think a lot of coaches don't have a voice, and something which I saw you post on the other day, emotional buy-in, rapport, deed of trust. Deed of trust comes from, I've seen this guy's content. I really resonate with his message. The message he's putting out is being consistent. That's obviously going to build a rapport. That's going to lead to emotional buy-in because we trust this guy. His message has been consistent for 5 or 6 months. And that's one of the biggest things. And like I say to coaches, the reason they struggle with it is because the coaching industry standards have changed. Coaches are lazy. In this day and age, coaches are lazy because coaching isn't what it once was. Coaching is results. It's marketing, it's researching marketing, it's understanding email nurturing, it's understanding how to read people, being empathetic. It's more than just, yeah, mate, I got a result. Like Catherine said, you can open Instagram and see 10 transformations in 30 seconds. But the difference is the industry has changed. When I post on Instagram, my posts with the lowest likes are transformations. And what's going on here is I can see it is coaches think that's enough. That's not emotional buy-in. That's not rapport. They say, hey, my client got shredded into a week. There's nothing for your potential client to resonate with in the caption to say, you know what, I could walk that walk because that is achievable.
It's like trigger. It's trigger an emotion. The biggest thing I see is that people, firstly, coaches are just copying what every other coach is doing. You need, if you really want to take your business to the next level, you have to think outside of the box. You have to go away and you have to research, right? So what is doing well at the minute on socials or whatever, and how can I put my spin on that? But also not just surface level. Like
posting transformation surface level.
If you have so you've identified your niche. But the majority of people are just going purely off of a result. For most people, that's actually the least impressive bit of the whole thing. It's like what has that done for that person external or internally?
That links to the part which I was saying this earlier in the conversation is the days of selling the outcome are finished. You have to sell the journey, and essentially what you're doing with reels and short form and long form content and carousels of taking people through the exact journey, you're taking people on the journey. And what I see with a lot of coaches, their inability to take people on a journey and get people to lock in because they think, I'm just going to post the outcome. The outcome doesn't mean anything because if you're looking at it from afar, the outcome seems so far, but if you take people on the journey seems shorter, it seems more attainable, it seems more achievable. That's how you're going to build rapport. That's how you're going to build deed of trust. That's how you're going to build emotional buy-in. And someone can say, do you know what, I can actually relate to that. And that's how you're eventually going to turn them people that are just liking it into conversations, conversations into leads. And then again, I always say there's two ways you sell off coaching. Well, there's three. There's results, there's deed of trust, and there's emotional buy-in.
And see, just going on what you said there about likes your transformation get the least amount of likes. In my opinion, likes mean nothing. Likes don't pay my bills. I could get 300 likes in a picture, but like that's actually not doing anything.
Likes.
It's like what is that piece of content doing to drive a conversation? And that doesn't mean a direct conversation that's going to be like, hey, do you want to jump on a call? It's like it's the whole bit before that people miss, where they actually have to nurture a lead into eventually booking a call down the line.
That's what I was having this conversation today, is because someone's like, oh, I'm going to run ads on my transformation, and I was like, but then how are you going to, you run that ads on the transformation, you get loads of new followers. All right, mate, how are you going to nurture that? How are you going to nurture that series of new followers? I don't have a clue. So people are throwing out transformations, putting paid ads behind them with not a clue how to follow up, how to nurture, how to target the new followers. So I think we're in a world where it's like, I say, so why are you going to run ads, mate? Oh, but he's doing it. And that's not the way the game works. So what people are doing now is they're seeing what they think is the correct method. And they think it's correct because they're seeing the most popular method.
Yeah.
What's most popular doesn't always work.
Yeah.
I've always said in my business, when everyone goes left, I'm going to go right. And because I'm going to stand out. And that's what's happening, is everyone is posting transformation. Yeah, all the other coaches doing it, so I'm going to do it. You're never going to stand out. So I always say to people, when everyone goes left, go right. And create your own path, create your own way to success.
Yeah, I think you do this really well, where like pieces of content where you have you have a transformation, but that's not what you show. Like, you do reels on on the actual journey, and that's the thing that you need to sell. It's the emotion of the transformation is the more important part than just the outcome, and it's that is eventually going to trigger someone to the point where they fill out your inquiry form, or they send you a WhatsApp, or they send you a DM, whatever it is. But you actually need to connect with them outside of just like getting them a great set of abs, because every Tom, Dick and Harry
everyone can do that. And I always see
yeah.
I always say to people, like, anyone I work with, every piece of content should lead to 3 more pieces of content. You got a transformation, great. Off the back of that, testimonial. Off the back of that, short form video of how you got that client from A to B. On the back of that, long form video put in your community group, explaining to the rest of your community that it's attainable. So then you're locking in that emotional buy-in from your current clients, which is going to increase their lifetime value. And when they're a bit fed up, that might give them the push to stay on. So, you know, your transformation is meant to be more than just a transformation.
Yeah, I completely agree. So just moving on then to our third point of bottlenecks then. So people failing to show up. So from my perspective, this is one of my biggest aggravations. People do something for a week, and they maybe sometimes they'll see a great response, and then sometimes they don't, but they're not doing it long enough, and that is and then they just drop off. What's your experience of that?
My experience is it's common. It's hard to work when essentially the rewards are not there. It's hard to work when no one's patting you on the back, and it's easy to wake up motivated one day because you know you've been around mates that are great coaches. You come back in Monday, I'm absolutely going to kill it, and you sort of have a spur of motivation, and you know you're productive for a little while. And I say motivation's like a sugar rush. Eventually, if you are productive, you will crash essentially. And it's about being able to continue when the chips are down and no one's interested. And people say to me, I want to build a business to 10 grand a month. Are you putting in the effort that it requires to build a business? Like, if you looked at yourself, does the effort you're putting in require 10 grand a month as a pay packet? Probably not. And I think a lot of the time is people don't stick at what they need to for long enough, or for as long as they need to be consistent enough, and the message changes. And what's actually happening there is they're putting out a great message. It starts as a great message. It's getting traction in week 1. It gets no traction in week 2. What do? They change the message. But when you're changing that message, you're losing the deed of trust with the people. Even though they were quiet, they're still watching from afar. When you change that message, you're losing that deed of trust. So if you've got a message, my message has been the same for 8 years. And you need to be super consistent. There can be a spin on it, but you need to be super consistent in that message. And what we're seeing here is people are starting. And because of mentorships, 5K, 10K seem so attainable, they're not achieving it. They're throwing in the towel. 6 weeks later, bro, I'm going to do that big push again. I got a spur of motivation. So it's dialing in on the days you're not motivated. Some of the days I'm not motivated, but I'm incredibly driven to the long-term vision. And the reason why people struggle to push on the days they're not motivated, because they actually don't believe in their end goal. They don't believe in their vision. And a lot of it comes from self-confidence, because even when I was starting my coaching brand, I failed 99 times. I got it right once and I ran with it essentially. And you have to sort of brainwash yourself into thinking it's not always going to pay off, but that's absolutely fine because we're going to try again tomorrow. And one day it will click for you. And one day them guys that have been following you 4 or 5 years will message you and say, man, it's been really good to see your journey.
And like, you just using you as an example, you're 8 years into this, and your coaching business is amazing now, but at the start it wasn't. For the first few years it wasn't. Eventually it clicked, but the thing is that you didn't do it for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks and then stop. Like, building a business takes every day, every week, months, even now, years to build.
The business is where it is, and we're still refining, we're still building, we're still looking at what could go wrong and what can go right, and people just don't give it enough time. And essentially what I say is, when you're on this journey and it's not going well, and I've been here myself, is in any industry, brands stand the test of time, and you have to be be able to see through all of that and get to the end. And typically when your brand does go through rocky periods, as every coaching brand, no one can say that doesn't, mine stands a test of time every now and then. Once you get through that, you actually flourish and you know, you start to progress even quicker. But what people are doing is they're hitting that bottleneck and throwing the towel in because it's too hard. You know, I'm posting content, I'm not getting any likes. Keep posting content because eventually someone's going to see it, someone's going to like it, someone's going to pick it up. You know, someone's going to come back and resonate with that message.
And what you were saying there about people watching, like I call those people lurkers, because people don't click on your profile. You could put out a really good piece of content. That content could even go viral and you could get loads of followers off the back of it. But the chances of having loads of inquiries off the back of that is quite slim, because people don't follow a coach and immediately inquire like that. Well, they watch those people for time.
Naturally in the way the world's going, spending behavior, consumer behavior, spending behavior has changed. You know, if your friend says, hey, I went to this lovely restaurant on the high street, you don't say, all right, I'm going to go there straight away. You know, you might follow them on Instagram. You know, that's your referral. You follow that restaurant on Instagram, you see 3-4 posts, you watch a reel, you watch another one, you hear someone else speak about it. It's the same. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, you're building that customer journey into inquiring with yourself. And the days of, I posted a viral reel, I got no inquiries, it doesn't happen. People follow, they watch, they listen, they resonate, they build rapport, and then they buy off the back of it. Then you need to
trigger the emotion.
You need to trigger it, whether that's
trigger the action.
And you know, I say this, and it's a horrible thing to say. Anyone that works with me, on a mentor perspective, I say, write down your 10 clients. What are their biggest pain points, and we're going to sell on the back of pain, because people need a formula. When they're in pain, they don't feel good. You know, essentially, coaching is problem and outcome. People say, I run an online coaching business. You're a problem solver. If you learn that very quickly, you will scale your brand far more quicker than you think. Yeah,
I would completely agree. And coaches these days, like, it seems so easy, but it's not. It's not. Building a brand that is going to be sustainable and stand that test of time, like, it is really difficult to do.
And that's why, like, with the mentorship, I'm not here, this person's made this much, this person's made this much. I'm selling the service on the back of accountability and sustainability. Because what people are not seeing on this mentorships, Toby's made 20k a month, but you didn't know that there was 20 Tobys working with that mentor before that one Toby made X amount.
Toby sold 5 paid in fulls, and those people aren't going to pay again for another 6 months.
So we need to sort of like understand that as well.
And like, these big numbers that you see all over the place, like, they look class, and like that, and they are. Don't get me wrong. Like, people that are, you know, selling like 50 grand a month, amazing work. But in terms of like longevity, that's
just like, comes back to the brand standing the test of time, isn't it? So no, any more topics you want to cover? What's fresh off the press?
So what I wanted to find out from you is, like, based on the bottlenecks, like, what is the one piece of advice that you would give someone who is either starting out in coaching, or they've been in the game and they're just not seeing any results for their business?
Okay, so if you've been in the game for a while and you're struggling to see results in the business, I think you essentially need to look at what you're doing with your week. You need to stop working in the business as much, pull out some time and allocate it to working on the business, looking at lead generation, what's going right, what's going wrong, blocking out 2 hours a week for content creation, what's really going to hit your niche. And I'm not saying, I'm just going to put out a video about trading, really homing down to your hook, your call to action, your emotional buy, and your pain points. And essentially, when you're in the game, 50, 60 clients, is looking at that churn rate. You know, how can you make clients stay in the system? What are you doing to make sure clients are rebuying packages? What can you do to make sure that, you know, when a client's on a 12-week diet, they're going to sign on for another 12 weeks because you've given them the education in your content and within your community to tell them the importance of reverse diet. It's so easy. People think you need new leads coming in. Yeah. You need to retain current business.
You need to focus on the people in your business.
I always say, squeeze the orange harder. Like, use your current brand to build your brand. Don't just look for new leads, because you're going to get 5 clients in, 3 clients out, and it's constantly going to be a reoccurrence. So take time out to work on the business. Every coach between 50 and 70 clients should know the lifetime value of a client on average. and the percentage of your churn rate. So if you're an experienced coach, I'd focus on working on the business, KPIs, and that jazz. If you're new in the business, I would be digging into building the pillar, which you're 150% sure of that's where you want your brand to go. And I'd be writing a descriptive personal message, professional message, educational message, and then aligning content to that, following a 3-day content schedule: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, personal message Monday, professional message Wednesday, educational message Friday, and homing into that for at least 8 to 12 weeks with top level content, with high quality captions and great copy, and a good call to action as well.
Good. Yeah, I think that's solid advice.
That's all. So no, like I said, we just wanted to give 2 different perspectives. We'll pop Catherine's Instagram on the video, we'll pop mine, and that's just a bit of a wrap up for today.